In the next few videos, we'll be looking at factoring of binomials, the different formulas that you can use. We're going to start with the difference of squares. In between these videos, I'll also look at videos pertaining to plumbing, so be looking out for those. So let's start off by looking at the formula for difference of squares. So this basically states that if you have the difference of two squares, x squared minus y squared, it factors into the difference of the square roots and the sum of the square roots. So you can write that as x minus y times x plus y, or x plus y times x minus y, or it doesn't matter, okay, as long as you have the x minus y and the x plus y somewhere in the factorization. Okay, so that's what the formula tells you. Whenever you're factoring the difference of two squares, one factor will be the difference of the square roots and the other factor will be the sum of the square roots. So let's look at some examples. This one states factor each of the following completely. So I have the difference of two squares. So this, according to the formula, should equal to the difference and the sum of the square roots. So the square root of 36x squared is 6x. Square root of 49 is 7. So this should factor into 6 minus 7, 6x minus 7, and 6x plus 7. Okay. Difference of squares factors into the difference and the sum of the square roots. Always keep in mind that you should always look for a common factor. Okay, that's the first thing you should do. In this case, we don't have a common factor, so we just factor directly into the difference of squares. Let's clear this. Okay. Next one is x to the 8th minus y to the 8th. No common factor there either. I do have a difference of squares. Okay, because x to the 8th can be written as x to the 4th. Squared. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so I have difference of squares, so this should factor into the difference in the sum of the square roots. Okay, so the square root of x to the 8th is x to the 4th. Similarly, the square root of y to the 8th is y to the 4th. And then the other factor will be the sum of the square roots. Okay, so then you look at these again to see if you can continue the factorization. X to the 4th plus y to the 4th is the sum of two squares. Okay, those are squares, but we don't have a formula for the sum of squares. Now the difference here, for the first factor, we have the difference of x to the 4th and y to the 4th. And x to the 4th and y to the 4th are perfect squares. So the first factor then factors into x squared minus y squared and x squared plus y squared. And then the last factor, like we said, cannot be factored, so we leave it as x to the 4th plus y to the 4th. Okay, since it says to factor completely, we keep going, okay, until we can't factor anymore. So the first one is x squared minus y squared, so obviously that's the difference of squares. So that factors into x minus y and x plus y. And then the next one is the sum of squares. The last one is the sum of squares also, so those we don't have a formula, we just write those down. got x squared plus y squared and x to the fourth plus y to the fourth. So the factorization then is x minus y times x plus y times x squared plus y squared times x to the fourth plus y to the fourth. So this is your complete factorization. Okay, let's clear this. Look at the next one. Now notice here we do have a common factor of x. We can take out an x. So take out an x. We're left with x to the fourth minus 16. And x to the fourth minus 16, that factor is a difference of squares, so we can factor that into two factors. So the x stays the same, and then this becomes then x squared minus 4 and x squared plus 4. Okay, the x squared minus 4 is a difference of squares though, so we can continue with the factorization. So x squared minus 4 factors into x minus 2, difference in the sum of the square roots. And make sure you include the parentheses on each factor. And just bring down the last one down. Okay, so the complete factorization is right here. X times x minus 2 times x plus 2 times x squared plus 4. Okay, clear this. Okay, the next one is difference of squares. Okay, instead of just one term inside, you have a binomial and a binomial, but it is a difference of squares, so you can still apply the formula. And just say, okay, it's going to be the difference of the square roots. Okay, so the square root of x plus 3 squared is x plus 3. The square root of y plus 2 squared is y plus 2. And that's a minus here for all of this here. Let me put it like this. Okay. Then the next one is the same thing, except it's the sum of the roots. So this will be x plus 3 plus y plus 2. And then we just do the simplification in each parenthesis. Okay, so this will be a minus y and a minus 2. So this will be x then, and then minus y, multiplying that by a negative here, so this will be minus y. And then this 2 becomes a minus 2 because of the minus, so 3 minus 2 is a plus 1. Okay, so this first factor becomes x minus y plus 1. And in the second factor, you got x plus y, and the 3 and the 2 add up to 5. Okay, so that's the factorization for that one. Right there. Okay, clear this. And then the last one, again, you look at that and you say, well, that's not a binomial because it has 4 terms, okay? But the thing about it here is that we're trying to use the formula difference of squares, so we're going to express it so it looks like a binomial that's difference of squares. So what we can do here is this. Okay, we leave the y squared the way it is. Factor out a negative from the last 3 terms, so this becomes an x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, so then this becomes y squared minus, and then the expression or the trinomial in the parentheses x squared plus 8x plus 16 factors into x plus 4 and x plus 4. Or we can write that as x plus 4. Squared. So now this looks, if I look at the y squared as a term and the x plus 4 as a term, I have the difference of 2 squares. Okay. So according to the formula, it's going to be the difference and the sum of the square roots. So the square root of y squared is y. The square root of x plus 4, so the square root of y squared is y, and the square root of x plus 4 squared is x plus 4, and it's minus that. So that's going to become a minus x and a minus 4. So in other words, instead of putting the parentheses, I distributed the negative. And then the second factor is the sum of the roots. So that's, again, it's going to be y plus x plus 4. And that's the factorization. Okay. So this is the factoring of binomials, or expressions that you can express as binomials being difference of squares, and then using the formula for difference of squares to factor the expression. Okay, so we're going to follow up with another video on binomials. One will be dealing with difference of cubes, factoring binomials that are difference of cubes and sum of cubes. And like I said, I will have also some videos on plumbing, so be watching out for those, and we'll see you in the next video.